You might be used to seeing Paul Mescal deliver these very sad and sweet characters on the big screen, but his portrayal of Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire is nothing short of savage. He's not alone in delivering this chilling production, which is for the third time back in London. And in this video, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about it. If you are based in the States, then you're in for a treat because this production is coming to New York and opening on 28th of February until 6th of April. So make sure to check it out. Welcome to my channel. My name is Christina and I'm here to help you have the best London theatre experience. I share my reviews, tips and all things London on my channel. So if you like the sound of it, then make sure to subscribe and like this video. Ever since it opened in December 2022 at the Almeida Theatre, this production has received a lot of praise, accolades and awards. And it has even won an Olivier Award for the best revival. All of the lead actors have been nominated for an Olivier Award, and this is the play that has landed Paul Mescal his first Olivier Award for the best actor in a play. So why is this show so acclaimed? Firstly, A Streetcar Named Desire is a classic written by Tennessee Williams in 1947, and pretty much since it opened, it enjoyed a great success, and it is widely considered one of the most impactful works by this writer. The story follows Blanche, who comes to visit her sister Stella, who is living with her husband after she lost her job and also she lost her family property. And the three of them function in this very weird and sad and triggering triangle because they are just incompatible as people and all deeply troubled with their own personal traumas and insecurities. This all leads to mentally fragile Blanche getting even worse in front of our eyes and really deteriorating, which is pretty sad to watch. So all this considered, this isn't a happy play, but it is definitely a masterful play to watch, and the writing is so good, the direction is so good, and the actors are phenomenal. So let's talk about actors, starting with Paul Mescal first. When it premiered, this was Paul Mescal's stage debut, and it is fantastic that he was immediately awarded one of the most prestigious awards there is. And this is all for the good reason, because he really delivered something truly unique when it comes to the role of Stanley Kowalski. And I think this is partially also helped by the direction by Rebecca Fracknell, who has done a marvelous job with really bringing the darkest parts of Stanley's personality to life. And Paul has really leaned into the physicality of Stanley's character and his animal and predator-like behavior, which is not only reflected in the way that he speaks and treats Blanche and Stella and also his other friends who are at times on stage, but it is very much about the way that he talks and walks and carries himself. Every entrance that he has into what's considered an apartment on stage, he first runs around for a couple of times like a beast and then he enters into the apartment. So this all feels like a bit of a cage that is on stage that we're witnessing, and Stanley is just running around it and really feeling like he is observing his prey, and his prey are these women, Stella and Blanche. There are so many incredible moments where you're really feeling fearful for Blanche in the hands of Stanley because of how good portrayal of this character is by Paul. It is definitely the most gruesome and the most beast-like performance that Paul has delivered, to the point that he is drooling on stage and spitting, which just shows how much Paul has really gone into the depths of this character to make audiences feel that way. While Paul's performance is definitely impressive, the most impressive performance is delivered by Patsy Ferran, who's playing Blanche. She's the heartbeat of the show, but she's such a fragile heartbeat of the show that most of the time you're just wanting to hug her. But it's not because her character is weak. I think that she gives Blanche a lot of strength and a lot of humor and a lot of elements that are so lovable about her. But I think the most devastating part is because you see how broken she is, besides her trying to act her finest and try to live like feeling normal. She's deeply troubled. Her mental health issues are really devastating, and also she's struggling with alcoholism, with all these insecurities. And portraying a character like this on stage can really lean into that feelings of sadness and sorry for the character. But I think all the way up until the very end, Patsy is so great with allowing us to have hope for Blanche that she will make it by the end of the play and not have a sad ending to her story. With these characters being polar opposites of each other, the beauty of this relationship lies in that contrast, and this is what Paul and Patsy have done so right. The role of Stella is someone who truly balances them out and brings out the best and the worst in them depending on the circumstance, and this role is portrayed by Anjana Vasan, who has been awarded the Olivier Award for the Best Supporting Actress in a Play. And her role in this play is so interesting because she has so much love for her sister and understanding, and she wants to help her, but at the same time she has this passion and she's almost blind in love for Stanley that she doesn't understand how big of a brute he is, or maybe even if she does, she doesn't want to admit that to herself. So she's constantly trying to be the balance between the two of them, but it is not working because both of these other two characters are so strong in their desperation that they're not really allowing her to be herself or to even focus on herself. And bear in mind, the character of Stella is pregnant in this place, so there are all these additional layers that make this triangle even more complex. The rest of the cast are coming in and out depending on the scenes, but they're all in charge of really helping enhance these elements of the leads. So they are truly ensemble members and really elevating the performances of the lead cast. The solution of the set design definitely enables the feel of predator and prey type of dynamic, because there isn't a lot of set apart from this podium where a majority of the action takes place, and that podium is pretty much the apartment where Stanley, Stella and Blanche spend the most time in. And because of the way that it is set on the stage, it feels like it's so hard for them to escape this box that they're in, and at times it really feels like it's a cage where all of them are trapped in. There are different props and elements that the rest of the cast is giving to the leads depending on the scene, but there are also stairs on the right side of the stage where some of the action takes place, but that is minimal. There are a few really impressive scenes when there is some water coming on the sides of that podium that I talked about, and this again helps with conveying that feeling of being trapped in your own skin, in your own life, in your own world, and not knowing how to exit it. Another impressive part of the show is the use of vocals and drums and percussions to really enhance the feeling of the show, and at times it really resembles a wildlife documentary when you're kind of trying to see if the lion's gonna attack zebra or something like that. It is very dark and very sudden at times, to the point that you really get a little bit scared when you hear these drums like starting out of nowhere, and there are like a lot of those like shock elements. So if you are someone who gets a little bit jumpy when there are like sudden noises, bear that in mind, because this is definitely a show where there are quite a lot of those. But when it comes to enhancing the narrative, it really helps convey it, especially when the scenes get really emotionally taxing, and a lot of the scenes are happening in Blanche's head as well, and her fear and the way that she carries herself is so particular that these sounds, when they come in, they almost like shake her a little bit, and consequently they also shake the audience. It's important to note that this play deals with some really heavy topics such as violence, sexual assaults, alcoholism, mental health illness, and it is really hard to watch it, especially because the portrayal of these characters is so real that sometimes they can really take you on this journey that makes you feel really devastated for them. So this is a trigger warning for anyone who might feel sensitive towards these topics. And Tennessee Williams is known as a writer who likes to explore the more troubled side of people's mind, and this is definitely a play where he dives deep. For full disclosure, this is not the first time I'm seeing this production. I've seen it a couple of years ago when I was truly impressed by it, but actually going to see it the second time, it just reminded me of how good it is, and not only how good the performances are, but also how good this play is and the writing. Sometimes it's really nice and refreshing going back to these classics and seeing why they can really stand the test of time. Tennessee Williams has created some of the most troubled characters, but also the characters that people feel a lot of affection towards and they want to see them on stage again and again. And this is a really great revival and production to experience these characters with. Unfortunately, this is a very limited run in London until 22nd of February only, but as mentioned, you can go and check it out in New York, where it will be performed for just a little bit longer than a month. So if you are a big fan of Paul Mescal, then I think it's totally worth checking it out because this is one of his finest work to date. If this show doesn't sound like your cup of tea, don't worry, there are plenty of other shows in the West End, and these are my 5 favorites from last year, which I highly recommend you go and check out in 2025.